Okay, so your Hoover washing machine has stopped turning round. You're tempted to take it to the dump and spend all that money buying a new machine. The truth is, it's going to cost you less than £20 and less than 10 minutes to fix it. In this case, we're looking at the Hoover hwb814dn1. We're going to change the brushes on the motor, which is ever so easy. So first of all, you go to Google, go to eBay and search for hwb814dn1 space brushes, and that'll get you a nice couple of brushes which will look a lot like these ones. Hopefully you've got the right ones. So there they are, a nice pair of new brushes freshly delivered from eBay. They don't look like the sort you'll sweep your house with. What they do is they brush against the spinning armature of the motor and allow electricity to go through something that's moving, and gradually they wear away. And in our case, about 2,500 washes later, they've worn out and it just doesn't turn anymore. So what we're going to do first is undo these 4, 5, 6 various bolts around the outside of this piece here, using a 7mm socket, which we'll put on the end of my my impact driver to make it quicker. But of course, you could just use an adjustable spanner, or you could use a socket set or anything you like. It's just easier with this. It just spins off as quick. So I'll just pause that while I take the rest of them off. Alright, as you can see, I've spun off all the 7mm nuts, bolts rather, around the outside. We can now lift this off. Pop that over there for later. Now inside we can see we've got the big wheel for the drum with a drive belt down to the motor shaft there and a pulley on there. So to get this off is quite easy. You just pull it off slightly on the edge of the big wheel and then turn the wheel round and it's off. Easy peasy. And put it back on's just as easy. You just put a little bit of it on and then spin it round. We'll do that in a minute once we put the new brushes on. Right, so now the motor is no longer connected to the drum, which is good. Obviously we've got it unplugged. So what we're going to do next is undo this bolt here and this bolt here using it's a 10mm, let me check. Yep, 10mm socket. Okay, so again we're going to use the impact driver, but again you could also just as easily use a socket set or a adjustable spanner. So I'll undo those 2 nuts now. Just got to get the right angle of that. It's quite hard holding the phone at the same time, to be fair. I'll just pause it while I do it. Right, so those 2 are out. Now how the washing machine motor sits is it's got those 2 loops there, those 2 supports sitting on those two mounts on the washing machine with your bolts going. And it's got 2 more at the back, but they haven't got any bolts in, so you can just pull it towards you to get it out. But first you need to take off the electric wiring. So let's do that. Okay, so here is the connector. In my case it's just a pull, it's off. There's also an earth tab which you find down here, and that'll have to come off. So let's pull that off. Okay, so now the motor is not connected and it's not screwed in. So let's take it out. Okay, easy as that. And we'll just lift it out now. Right, so now the motor is out, you can see here is a brush on one side of it, which has a little spade connector into the back of it, and on the mirror side of the machine, the motor, there's the other brush. And as you can see, if you're the curious sort, you can look down here and you can see the armature of the motor, which spins around when I turn the shaft, and basically it's got that carbon brushing against it to send electricity into the armature, which wears away and then it doesn't do anything. So we just need to replace this and the other side. And if you look at them, look at the back of the motor downwards, you can see 2 screws holding on each of the brushes and a spade connector at the back. So first we'll pull the spade connectors off. Okay. Now if these don't come off, sometimes you just have to put a sharp you could pin or a needle, back of a needle or something, and push down through that little hole in there, which releases a bit there that sometimes crimps into there. Sometimes you just pull them. These ones just pull off. To the other one. There it is. Right, so now they're only held on by the screws. So let's get a screwdriver. Right, these are, if you look close at the screws, they don't have little scores in between the plus sign, which means they are not posi, they are Phillips, Phillips 2s. If you get desperate, you could undo them with a posi screwdriver, but Phillips, it will thank you more for that. Won't round them off so much. So we'll pop our screwdriver in there. Again, just use a normal screwdriver and undo them. Okay. I'll just pause the video while I lift them out so they don't fall into the motor. Okay, so as you can see, we're taking the screws out. They have gone. They are just sitting there now, those brushes. Now at this point you can see there's actually 2 places you could end up putting these in, at 2 different angles. So you want to make a note of which way they were pointing. That one's pointing that way, and my other one is pointing down that way. So we don't want them that way, we want them that way. And that's because of the angle cut in the actual brush when you buy it. It has to match and sit nicely on the armature. So let's lift those off. One, and another one. There we go. Now if we look at those, well, you can see they're a bit like lipsticks that come out and they're very worn out. They should be out like here with lots of brush, but there's nothing left in them. They're all worn out. So those are the old ones. Let's go and get our new ones and pop them in. Right, with the new ones, as you can see, they've got this little bit of plastic over the end that's holding them in for delivery. So you'll need to make sure you take a bit of plastic off first, otherwise they won't work. There we go. Look how long it is compared to the old one. So there's loads of brush left in that one. That's all worn away from 2,500 washes. Right, let's pop it on the brush. Okay, so apologies for my wife's hoovering. Here we have the new one, and we're going to pop it in there, and then we just pop it so the 2 locating lugs go into those 2 holes, and then we'll put screws in it. Okay, it's in there like that, and then we pop the 2 screws in, like so. And screw them in. Okay, and as you can see, the new brush has gone in, has been squeezed in, and it's leaning against the armature now. You can check the armature spins, which it does. Spins nicely, and then we'll just do the same the other side. And there we have it. We've got both the brushes back on again. We just need to reattach those spades onto them, like that, and the other one, and then we can put it back in the machine. Okay. So now the bearings are fitted, we just need to put it back, and as I said, if you look down there you can see it's got some studs at the back that are going to go into the front holes of the motor, and the back holes which are going to go into the ones we're going to put the screws in to hold it in place, the bolts in to hold it in place. So we get the motor in there the right way around, like so, and then we ease it down gradually. Now, the trick is to get it into both the sets of studs at the same time, the back and front. So you'll see I've lent the washing machine on its face a bit to give gravity some allow to help me a bit. So I'll just pause it while I slip it in. The key thing is to make sure the back ones go in at the same time as the front ones. There we go, you can see it's now hanging on the back and front ones. So now all that remains is to put in these 2 bolts there and there. Do them up. Oh, preferably not dropping things down into the bottom of the machine, but hey, can't be perfect. There we go. pop that one in there. Do that nice and tight. Okay, I'll just change the tool on my impact driver. There we go, and do those up. There and there. There we go, so those are done up. Now we need to put the belt back on. And as I said, the trick to this is you get your belt, rest it over the top of there a bit, like that, and then get it down here onto your motor pulley. And then you just bring a bit of it on there and then just kind of turn it round gradually. As you do so, it just eases it back on. There we go. Quite easy. It's not as difficult as a car one. Spin it round a bit, check everything's happy. And check that the alignment of this is the same as that, because you can move it along the pulley if needed. But mine's nice and lined up. Now we need to put the casing back on. So we're talking about this thing, which we need to, in the case of this washing machine, slip it into the top there, like that. And then pop back in those bolts. And it's as easy as that. Once you put those bolts in, we're finished. Hopefully that's helpful to you. And before you actually go and do this, make sure you get out the old bearings first, and then you can look at them compared to the photographs on eBay or wherever, because certain machines have more than one type of sorry, have a look at the brush, because certain brushes are the same on the same machine, or will be different, so you might have a variety of choices, so you want to make sure you choose the right ones. Initially I had the wrong ones and had to swap them. Thank you.